Now on the night team.
Overwhelmed.
And underwater.
I cannot believe that the person in this Escalade is trying to drive through this right now. Gosh, please turn around.
Look at that water. This is a lake. It must be knee-deep.
Hurricane Irma roaring in.
You can just hear it, how strong the wind is, and that's what's causing all the storm surge.
It's almost impossible to stand up in.
Oh, photographers getting blown everywhere, brother.
You just see this wall of wind and water, and it almost looks like it could be a snowstorm.
Floodwaters rising fast.
We knew it was going to happen, and now it's happened. Water is now coming over the storm wall.
Boats sinking fast.
If you had a boat tied up here, it's pretty safe to say that it did not survive.
Roofs ripped off.
Trees coming down. Homes flooded out.
And cranes collapsing.
This crane just could not withstand these strong winds.
The danger.
That dock out there is where you're supposed to normally be able to walk.
And this sign, not only has it fallen over, but look at the metal. It has been bent.
And the damage everywhere.
A roof that it's on somebody's driveway. They really don't know where it came from.
Storm survivors lucky to be alive.
Margaret, what are you doing in your car?
The window is broken out.
After South Florida is taken by storm.
Irma is not giving up. She continues to punch South Florida.
Live night team coverage of Hurricane Irma continues right now.
A live look at Miami's Brickell section overrun by floodwaters courtesy of storm surge brought on by Irma.
Hurricane Irma moving out of South Florida, but the danger isn't completely over yet. Some gusty winds are still kicking up out there. Hello and welcome everyone to this special edition of 7 News. I'm Balkis Nurey.
I'm Craig Stevens. Miami-Dade and Broward public schools are closed until further notice, and Catholic schools are closed Monday and Tuesday to allow officials to inspect the campuses after the storm.
We have a team of reporters spread out across South Florida and the West Coast to bring you complete coverage. The latest track on Irma is coming up, but first, let's start with the night team's Brian Enton. He's in Brickell with the damage reports there. Brian?
Belkis, it is a much better situation here now than it was earlier. Where I was standing a few hours ago, the water was literally up to my waist. Now it is dry right here, but there is still a ton of water out here on Brickell, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to take quite some time for all of this storm surge and water to recede and for Brickell to get back to normal.
Brickell Avenue underwater. The storm surge and the wind so intense, there's even white caps as gusts of winds whip around office buildings and condos.
It's a lot of water. Yeah, it's definitely a new experience for me in Brickell.
What's so incredible is neighbors say the water rose from Biscayne Bay in just 45 minutes. The storm surge coming in fast, water inching all the way up to office buildings and submerging parking garages.
I knew it was going to be intense, but this is pretty crazy. I hope everyone's safe out there.
Most people stayed in their condos and offices away from the mess, but some ventured out and even tried to drive through the deep water. This Escalade barely made it. A fire rescue truck plowing through the high water, checking to make sure no one was stuck. And look at this. In Miami's Edgewater neighborhood, the storm surge and wind knocked over a box truck. This is Coconut Grove's Peacock Park, also taking a beating from Irma. The rising waters catching many throughout South Florida by surprise.
I mean, I certainly didn't expect Brickell Avenue to be waist deep in water. You know, you're used to seeing just traffic stacked up here, not Biscayne Bay.
So unbelievable. Yes, the water has receded out here, but there is still so much water on Brickell and the surrounding streets. There's a truck passing by right now, but for the most part, a lot of these roads are just impassable. And you have to remember, we are 2 or 3 blocks away from Biscayne Bay here. So there are a number of streets behind me, not just Brickell, that remain flooded tonight. Live in Miami, Brian Enton, 7 News Night Team.
Really is a sight to be behold there in the Brickell section. Thank you, Brian.
Lots of damage all across Miami-Dade County, and we've got that too.
And the night team's Rosh Lowe has more on this for us. Rosh.
When you drive around Miami tonight, the damage is in the roadways. They are trees, they are large tree branches, and it is pitch dark outside. And beyond that, we've had several crane collapses. 45 to 50 mile per hour winds just whipping through downtown Miami, tearing off awnings and knocking over a huge potted tree, the wind coming off the water, creating a virtual wind tunnel through the streets. The storm ripping off roofs at an apartment building in Miami, causing damage all across Miami-Dade. Check this out, power lines exploding in this neighborhood in Aventura. And 2 cranes collapsing in downtown Miami, the first near 30th Terrace in Biscayne. Another crane coming down just a couple of blocks from Biscayne Park.
I was just riding the storm out like many people here in downtown Miami, and heard a loud crack, and then like a boom that kind of followed that, and so I assumed that something large fell, and I looked out the window and looked up, and I saw the just some remnants of the crane falling down to the building next to me.
Irma splashing her way into Brickell. This image sent from a resident who lives in the evacuation zone. And this tree uprooted, breaking a water main in the process in Miami Beach. The tree laying next to a power pole, also tilted by the strong winds. Miami Beach feeling the wind gust of Irma as this boat rocks back and forth. Watch how the water rips through this dock in Miami shores. An elementary school sign knocked down in Hialeah, and not too far away, a tree toppling onto several cars. And in North Miami, you can't even tell where the backyard ends and the river begins at this home. Yeah, it is so dark outside tonight. You really can see the crane that we're in front of up there, but I can tell you that there are reports of at least 3 different crane collapses right behind me here. This is the type of damage you will see. You know, these trees that are down, but this can be very dangerous if you're driving, especially at night. No power. Just be careful when you get out there. We're live in Miami. Rosh Lowe, 7 News 19.
All right, Rosh, thanks for that. Those cranes, out of the gate, they said they might pose a problem.
And a lot of folks were concerned about it.
Yeah.
In some cases turned out to be
with good reason.
Worthy of concern, yeah. Another part of the area that is prone to flooding, saw some again today.
Joe Rotes has more on the situation in Sweetwater. He's live. Joe?
And I can tell you there are a lot of relieved people here in the city of Sweetwater tonight, an area prone to flooding. When we first got out here to 113th Avenue and Southwest 5th Street, there was water in the street several inches deep, coming up well past our water boots. But as you take a look here behind me right now, the city has been out working hard tonight to bring those water levels down. A sign of comfort in Sweetwater after a lot of waiting in the dark for Leslie Rojas and her family.
We're hunkered down, pretty dark with all the shutters.
As Hurricane Irma's heavy rains flooded the streets outside her home on Southwest 113th Avenue, the water causing major concerns, not just for her, but many in the city.
I'm surprised it's like there's still huge flooding on this street.
The water's coming inside, I think so.
But almost immediately after the rains started to subside in Sweetwater on Sunday, a sign of relief. City staff rushing out generators to power pumps and ease the water on the roadways.
The city obviously has been prone to flooding issues for a long time. There's 2 on the east side, there's 2 in the trailer park, and then 3 more that have already been installed on the west side of the city. We already installed the 2 on the east side, and those have been running for right about since 6 o'clock, and it should have the east side of the city dry.
Mayor Orlando Lopez out delivering the power supplies to make sure they are up and running.
Well, it's very important because right now nobody's really had water inside their house. We're trying to prevent it so that there's no flooding issues and they don't get water inside their house.
It is one less worry for neighbors, still in the dark, but hopefully not having to deal with any water rushing into their homes or lingering on the streets.
Anything that's gonna help us not mess up our house or get flooded. It's super thankful.